Come in.
Miss Meyer is here to see you.
Well, bring her in.
Thank you for seeing me, Mr. Deeds.
It's our pleasure. Jody tells me you've submitted a fantastic story you'd like us to publish.
Yes, that's correct.
It says here you graduated with a degree in English from Brigham Young.
That's right.
I don't see a lot of work experience on the resume.
I worked as a receptionist once, briefly.
Too busy writing to work a real job, huh?
Actually, no. Twilight's my first attempt to write anything.
Ah, yes, well, people have been known to hit a home run their first time up at bat, on occasion. Tell me, how do you see the future of your story in terms of an ongoing saga?
I see 4 distinct books, with possible film adaptations.
Well, vampires, can't go wrong there. Lust, blood, danger, coffins, stakes in the heart, all great visuals.
There are no coffins, actually.
No coffins.
No.
So they hide in tombs or underground during the day?
No, they go to school during the day, or work.
Oh, they don't burn up in the sunlight?
No, they sparkle.
Pardon me?
In the sunlight, their granite-like skin shimmers like 1,000 tiny diamonds.
I see. They try to hide this, to lay low.
Yes. But later in the story, our hero does try to commit suicide by exposing his glittery self.
Death by twinkle.
Yes. Our heroines race across the globe to try to prevent him from removing his shirt.
Well, we can always use a new take on the classic iconography. It should be interesting to see that skin sparkle when they turn into a bat.
They don't turn into bats.
They get around then by climbing walls and gliding then, I suppose.
No, but they can run really fast.
Oh. Well, I suppose a creepy old man who runs real fast would be scary.
Heavens, no. My Edward is young and fertile. Very fertile.
Okay, I see where you're going. Hip young vampires out and about, looking to de-virginize their small-town Washington State girlfriends.
He actually doesn't date, but his siblings do.
His whole family was turned into vampires?
Yes, and they date each other.
Vampire incest.
No, they're not related.
But they were turned by the same super vampire, thus making them a family.
No, they were turned by different people, and now they all just live together.
Okay, I'm with you. A coven of vampires, a family, drinking the town dry, rivers of blood in the living room.
They don't drink human blood.
But you said they were vampires.
Vegetarian vampires.
They drink cabbage juice?
They survive by drinking the blood of deer and other woodland creatures.
Ah, well, Miss Meyer.
Mrs. Meyer.
Mrs. Meyer. I'm having a little trouble seeing where all the danger is in your vampire world.
Oh, silly. It's so obvious I forgot to mention it. Our stud vampire, Edward, has fallen in love with a human girl, Bella.
Ah, wants to taste the forbidden fruit.
Yes, she smells amazing to him.
And why is this dangerous? Does the family not approve?
Oh no, they pretty much all like her. It's dangerous because they're just so different.
Tell me about your heroine, Bella. Named for Bella Lugosi. That's very clever.
Who?
Describe her to me.
Well, she's in love with Edward.
Start over.
Jacob is in love with her.
Try a different approach.
Well, she's just moved to this small town, and all the guys in school are in...
Describe her without using other characters.
She's clumsy.
let's move on to this Jacob person.
He's the other point of the love triangle. He moves in when Edward breaks up with Bella. And he's a werewolf. And werewolves and vampires are sworn enemies.
Now you're talking. There's a big fight scene, blood and gore.
No. Jacob lets Bella do what she wants. And the werewolves work out their differences with the vampires and they learn to coexist.
But how does Edward feel about Jacob and Bella?
Well, he encourages it. He watches them kiss and tries to convince her to have babies with Jacob.
Making babies. If we look at this as a teen romance novel, we could probably get by with a little less drama since there's plenty of sex.
No. There's no sex.
But Edward, you said, was getting his glitter on by sniffing Bella?
Well, he very much wants to be with her, but only when they're married.
Married? Have sex until they're married?
Yes, and that's non-negotiable.
Oh, okay. Well, that could probably win us some points with some of the parents out there. It's a pro-abstinence message. And the teens will let it go since he's chomping on her neck to satisfy his other hungers. Metaphors.
No, sir. He's extremely attracted to her blood, but he won't drink it. That would turn her into a vampire, and he won't do that until they're married.
So he won't put his anything inside her anything till there's a ring on her finger?
Exactly.
Please tell me they get married so we can get a little hot and sweaty going.
Oh, of course. They get married early in the 4th book.
Excellent.
But their lovemaking is only implied. I won't be writing about that. It's just too graphic for a teenage audience.
Then what happens after they're married?
Well, he knocks her up on the honeymoon, and their demon baby starts eating her alive and tearing apart her uterus.
Oh, you're gonna kill off your heroine?
Oh, goodness, no. She becomes a vampire.
Now that must be an interesting section of the story. I mean, the adjustment for new vampires must be intense.
Oh, indeed it is. In fact, she spends most of the series dreading it and preparing for the 2 years it'll take to learn control and become a non-human eating vampire.
Now that is an exciting time for sure.
But she's special and is good to go in about an hour.
Well, okay. I mean, that makes sense. She would have to be well quickly in order to take care of an infant.
She's only an infant for about a week, and then she's a little kid.
What happens to this kid?
She ends up with her mother's former love interest.
Years later in the epilogue.
No. From the moment of her birth, the werewolf imprints on her and tends to her every need. He helps raise her.
To eat her?
To marry her. That way, he's in Bella's life forever. And Bella has her Edward, and her BFF, and her daughter, without the trouble of infancy. And a little house in the woods.
Well, this is after some great battle between good and evil, right?
Well, there is this group of bad vampires who's kind of upset that Bella and Edward had a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And they travel all the way from Italy to destroy the child. The whole coven's out for blood.
But then they fight to determine the ultimate victor.
No, they're able to talk out their differences.
Mrs. Meyer, where did you get the idea for Twilight?
From a dream. A dream of a fierce and savage but seductive vampire creature who captivates a sweet young Mormon.
How did you develop a story from that?
Edward.
Sorry?
Edward's body is cold but hard. He'll watch her sleep for her protection and not let her leave the house for her protection and not date her for her protection and marry her for her protection. He'll be perfect.
Mrs. Meyer, if you don't mind me asking, are you satisfied with your husband in the bedroom?
We've successfully procreated.
Jody tells me you've also submitted your ideas for the cover art.
Yes. The first book should be 2 hands holding an apple.
Is that a significant image in the body of the novel somewhere?
No. But the second cover will be a flower dripping in paint.
Paint.
It might be blood. It should be red, but it's paint. Painting with a flower. Oh, Edward.
What about the third and fourth?
A frayed ribbon and chess pieces.
And those are relevant to the story because...
Because they're on shiny covers.
Uh-huh.
Edward is shiny.
Uh-huh.
Edward.
Only 4 main books. Don't you think you're limiting yourself a bit?
No, not at all. I intend to tell the series first from Bella's point of view, and then rewrite the whole thing from Edward's point of view.
You're going to tell the exact same story twice.
No, the antinouns will be different.
You mean the pronouns?
Yes.
Your degree was in English, correct?
I promise it'll be an exciting new take on the tale.
Just re-releasing the same story. What are you trying to be, the George Lucas of literature?
Who?
We'll worry about that when the time comes. Well, then we get to worry about fun things, like fans hacking into your computer and posting the latest draft of your book on the internet.
Oh, heavens. If they got a hold of my draft of the book from Edward's point of view, they'd know what's going to happen next. The whole story would be ruined. I wouldn't be able to continue.
Calm down, calm down. There's no reason to worry about that right now. Well, I think we're just about finished here. Let me just do a quick recap to make sure I've got everything straight. Vampires who don't drink human blood, sleep in coffins, turn into bats, or have any particular difficulty going out in the sun. A teenage romance novel with no sex. A horror story with no danger. And werewolves who can change back and forth at will and are not affected in any way by the moon.
Maybe they're not actually werewolves. Maybe they're just shapeshifters.
Mrs. Meyer, you've given me a lot to think about, and I think we can do business. Now, why don't we meet again at the end of the week with Gary from corporate, and we'll get this ball rolling.
Thank you, Mr. Dietz. I
Thank
can't
you.
wait.
Gary. Yeah, do you think you'll have time Thursday, maybe Friday, to meet our new big author? Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's something for sure. Now, imagine. Mary Shelley meets Anne Rice with a generous smattering of J.K. Rowling thrown in. You got that image? All right, now, dumb it down. Dumb it down again. Go dumber. Yeah. That's Twilight.